What's the biggest childhood trauma that bothers you? Yeah.
You want to know?
Yes, sir.
I don't even know if I can say this, and y'all gonna laugh at me.
I'm not gonna laugh at you.
I promise you we're not gonna laugh.
When I grew up, right, and I remember.
A room full of people, a promise just made, completely broken in under 4 seconds.
And then he gets hit by a car and is in a coma.
A man in a coma, and the room just loses it.
I'm really, really sorry, Nikki. I'm really, really, really sorry. I didn't realise that it was... I'm sorry.
Why are you laughing? It's not a funny situation. You're
There's
supposed to be
no even any-
apologising.
I'm not.
An apology, mid-sentence, just gone. Your brain doesn't care what's happening around you. It doesn't care who's watching. It doesn't care how horrifying the timing is. When it wants to laugh, it laughs. And today, we're gonna find out exactly why. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a moment, maybe a funeral, maybe a serious meeting, maybe the worst possible second of someone else's life and felt it? That rising feeling in your chest, that little flicker behind your eyes, that absolute traitor of an impulse that your brain sends right up your throat, and suddenly you're fighting for your life, trying not to smile. You press your lips together. You stare at the floor. You think about the saddest thing you've ever witnessed. You physically clench your jaw like you're trying to stop a dam from breaking. And the harder you fight it, the worse it gets. There's a name for this. Scientists call it inappropriate situational laughter, and psychologists have been studying it for decades. Because here's the thing, it is not a character flaw. It is not cruelty. It is not disrespect. It is your nervous system going into full-scale emergency mode and choosing the absolute worst emergency exit it could possibly find. When you are faced with extreme tension, emotional pain, social pressure, fear, grief, or pure shock, your brain's threat response system kicks in. And for some people, that system doesn't fire sadness or silence. It fires laughter. Think about it this way. Your brain is constantly scanning the room. It's looking for patterns. It's asking, is this safe? Do I know what this is? Does this make sense? And when something is so far outside the range of normal, so dramatically out of place, your brain short circuits. It glitches. And laughter is the sound of a glitch. It's your nervous system saying, I do not know how to process what just happened. I have no file for this. Error, 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 error. And we are going to watch that error happen in real time, over and over, to some of the most unsuspecting, unprepared, and completely helpless people you will ever see. But before we get into the worst of them, I need you to understand one more thing. Inappropriate laughter has a multiplier effect. The moment you realize you cannot laugh, that is the exact moment your brain decides laughing is the funniest thing it has ever considered doing.
It's not easy to talk about this. My fear ain't really a manly fear. Don't laugh.
Ain't no reason for me to laugh.
Just please don't laugh.
Okay.
I'm terrified of clowns.
You see that? He begged them. He set up every possible social guardrail. He made eye contact. He made them promise. He created a verbal contract with the entire room, and it lasted approximately 0 seconds after the reveal. Because here's what nobody tells you about inappropriate laughter. It is contagious in a way that almost nothing else is. Scientists who study emotional contagion have consistently found that laughter, specifically spontaneous, uncontrolled laughter, spreads faster through a group than almost any other social signal. Faster than applause, faster than tears, faster than yawning. The second one person cracks the structural integrity of the entire room collapses. And that's where it gets truly dangerous. Because this is no longer just about your brain betraying you. This is about everyone in the room becoming a liability at the exact same moment. Think about the people who are most trained to hold it together in public. Professionals, broadcasters, therapists, people who literally get paid to maintain composure. News anchors are probably at the top of that list, right? Years of training, teleprompters, live audiences, millions of viewers, and then one wrong word, one completely accidental, wildly unfortunate phrasing, and it is completely over.
Get out of my pants! There we go. There we go. Coming up, the
Gone. Just gone. Years of training, gone. And notice what happens in those moments. Watch the body language. The anchor turns away from camera. The shoulders start shaking first. Then the hand comes up to cover the mouth. Then the eyes go completely wet, and then it's over. The professionalism evaporates like it was never there. Because here's the reality. Social composure is a performance. It's a conscious, active, energy-consuming act. You are constantly monitoring yourself, monitoring the room, making micro adjustments every single second to stay within the accepted range of behavior. behavior. And laughter, uncontrolled laughter, it is one of the very few human responses that can override that performance entirely. It bypasses the prefrontal cortex, the logical, social, rule-following part of your brain, and goes straight to the limbic system, the primal part, the part that doesn't know what a live broadcast is, the part that doesn't care about your career or your reputation or the million people watching. That part just knows. This is funny. We're doing this now. And now let's talk about the cruelest version of this phenomenon, the apology that goes wrong.
I'm really, really sorry, Nikki. I'm really, really, really sorry. I didn't realise that it was... I'm sorry.
Why are you laughing? It's not a funny situation. You're
That's
supposed to be
not even anything.
apologising.
I'm not.
Did you feel that shift in the room? That's not just funny, that's fascinating. Because the person laughing, Sandra, she is not a bad person in that moment. She is not trying to be cruel. She's not dismissing Nikki's pain. She is trapped. She can feel herself doing it. She knows it's wrong. And the more she knows it's wrong, the more she feels the weight of the social consequence crashing down on her, the harder her brain fights her. Psychologists have a term for this loop. They call it the ironic process theory. The idea that the harder you try to suppress a thought or a behavior, the more mental energy your brain dedicates to it, which paradoxically makes it more likely to happen. You tell yourself, don't laugh, do not laugh, this is serious, stop thinking about laughing, and your brain responds with, noted laugh incoming in 3, 2. This is why the worst moments are always the ones where the stakes are highest. Low stakes situation, you might giggle, you shake it off. High stakes situation, complete public meltdown. The higher the social cost of laughing, the more impossible it becomes to stop. Now, let's get into the truly unforgettable ones. The moments where not only is the timing catastrophically wrong, but the subject matter makes the laughter almost incomprehensible to the people experiencing it. These are the cases that haunt people. These are the moments that live rent-free in your brain at 3 a.m. when you're trying to fall asleep. Let's start with the one that almost nobody can get through without flinching, the trauma confession.
What's the biggest childhood trauma that bothers you? Yeah.
You want to know?
Yes, sir.
I don't even know if I can say this, and y'all gonna laugh at me.
I'm not gonna laugh at you.
I promise you we're not gonna laugh.
When I grew up, right, and I remember,
We already saw that clip at the start of this video, but I want you to watch it again because now that you understand what's actually happening in the brain, it hits completely differently. These people didn't want to laugh. Look at the faces in that room. The person who laughed first probably wanted to disappear into the floor. The entire room went from zero to chaos before anyone had a single second to make a conscious choice. This is the moment where inappropriate laughter stops being just uncomfortable and starts being genuinely heartbreaking, because on the other side of that laugh is a real person who worked up the courage to share the most painful thing they carry, who trusted the room, who heard, "I promise we won't laugh," and then heard the exact opposite. And yet, and I need you to really sit with this, the people who laughed are not monsters. They were ambushed by their own nervous systems. The shock of the content, the contrast between the setup and the reveal, the social pressure of the group dynamic, it all hit at once, and their brains fired the wrong response before their morality had a single chance to intervene. That's the tragedy of inappropriate laughter. Nobody wins. Not the person who laughed, not the person who shared. Now let's go to a completely different register. Same phenomenon, wildly different setting.
Whispering because I didn't want the shooter to hear me and my classmates. And my dad was just asking me what's going on, what's happening. And then I told him it's a shooting. Somebody's here shooting up the school. And then he told me, he said, okay, I'm on my way.
Why your dad? Is he your superhero?
Yes.
Is he your superhero? In the middle of a school shooting story, is he your superhero? Now listen, that interviewer was probably trying to find the emotional silver lining. They were probably reaching for something warm in an otherwise terrifying story. And what came out was so perfectly, catastrophically out of place that the audience couldn't help it. This is what researchers call incongruity theory, one of the oldest and most agreed upon explanations for why things are funny. We laugh when our brain sets up an expectation, and then something completely different shows up. The setup, school shooting survival story, gravity, fear, trauma. The punchline, is he your superhero? Your brain had one road loaded, and then the GPS rerouted into a completely different universe. And the gap between those two places, that gap is where the laugh lives. The worse the timing, the bigger the gap. The bigger the gap, the harder the laugh. And sometimes that gap is so enormous, so cosmically ill-timed, that the laugh isn't even really about funny anymore. It's about your brain's desperate need to release the tension it just absorbed. Here's where it gets even more interesting. We've been talking about laughter as a brain event, but the body has its own version of this story, and it is equally disloyal, because for some people, it's not just laughter that shows up uninvited, it's everything. The snort that escapes during a job interview.
Are you comfortable working in a team environment?
It depends on the other people.
elaborate further. Are you okay?
Sorry, I have acid reflux. It's part of my glaucoma. Okay, I can't do it.
It's part of my glaucoma. Sir, that is not how glaucoma works. But look, I respect the commitment. The body did something embarrassing. The brain had to improvise. And the improvisation was so confidently delivered, so completely detached from medical reality, that it became its own event. This is what happens when you are so deep in the social anxiety spiral, so committed to not being embarrassed, that you accidentally say something 10 times more embarrassing than the original embarrassing thing. And then there's the version that goes even deeper.
Good morning. My name is Kate. Okay, sorry. Good morning. Okay, my name is Caitlin.
That, right there, that is the purest form of this phenomenon. She's not laughing at anything external. She's not reacting to someone else's pain or someone else's mistake. She is laughing at herself laughing, and then laughing at herself, and the loop just doesn't close. Neuroscientists call this a positive feedback loop of emotional arousal. The laughter stimulates more laughter. Every failed attempt to suppress it becomes fuel. The awareness of how inappropriate it is adds to the arousal, and you end up completely paralyzed by your own biology. Athletes call it choking. Comedians call it coursing. The rest of us just call it the worst 3 minutes of my entire professional life. And speaking of professional lives,
please support Human Appeal.
Please support humanappeal.org.uk.
A few moments later.
Sign of my love and fidelity.
The sign of it.
Don't talk to me. I'm dying.
a charity broadcast, and a wedding ceremony. Two of the most sacred, serious, socially loaded contexts that exist on this planet, and in both of them, the laugh wins. The charity fundraiser collapses into giggles while trying to give out a website address, a website for Human Appeal. The wedding vows the single most emotionally significant thing this person will say in their entire marriage dissolve into complete hysterics at the altar. And here's the beautiful, horrifying truth about both of those moments. They will remember those forever. Not the parts that went perfectly, not the composed, polished, dignified moments. They will remember the exact second the laugh broke through. Because that's what memory does with emotional intensity. It locks onto it. It saves it in high definition. The laugh that shows up at the worst moment is often the one that lives the longest. Now I want to talk about the extreme end of this. Because most inappropriate laughter lasts a few seconds, maybe a minute if it's really bad. You shake, you recover, you apologize, you move on. But there is a category of person for whom the laughter does not stop.
Wait, girl, what the your eyebrows go, girl? What the fuck?
I shaved them off in a manic episode.
Yeah, why don't you
Yeah. I also shaved all my hair off. It's growing back now.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yo. Yo. Hey, good morning.
And just like that, what started as a simple, "Where did your eyebrows go?" turns into a window into something much bigger. She said it so casually. Manic episode, like it was the most normal explanation in the world. And in that gap between the absurdity of missing eyebrows and the weight of what a manic episode actually means, the laughter and the discomfort fuse into one feeling that your body doesn't have a clean name for. That's the most sophisticated version of this phenomenon, when something is simultaneously funny and deeply serious, and your brain has to process both signals at once. The result is a laugh that carries guilt in it, a laugh that feels like you owe someone an apology the second it leaves your mouth. Psychologists sometimes describe this as gallows humor, the instinct to find levity in darkness. And it's not just a coping mechanism, it's a survival mechanism. It is your brain's way of staying functional in the face of information it was not built to cleanly handle.
I want people to learn that Tourette's
is a neurological involuntary motor and vocal disorder. Literal by doing this. You, Chris. There's a lot of things that people don't understand, like, and say, like, go yourself, Chris. Literal by doing it. On your own biscuit, fat. That have told me that my parents deserve to die in a car accident because I'm faking my condition, or people have told me that.
That one hits differently because this isn't just about a laugh in the room. This is about what happens when involuntary behavior of any kind is misread, when something someone cannot control is treated as a choice, when the laugh comes from cruelty dressed up as reaction. And I want to be clear about something. Not all of what we've seen in this video is the same thing. Some of it is pure nervous system, short circuit, the kind nobody chose, nobody wanted, and nobody could stop. Some of it is social contagion. One person cracks, the whole room follows. And every person in that room would rewind it if they could. But occasionally, the laugh is about discomfort with someone else's reality, about not knowing how to sit with a truth that doesn't fit neatly into your world. And that version, that's the one worth examining, because that version tells you something about yourself. So why are we here? Why do tens of millions of people search for people laughing at the worst moments every single year? Why does this content do numbers? And the honest answer is because watching other people lose their composure makes us feel profoundly, deeply, reliably human. Every single person watching this video has a moment. You know the one. The moment that lives in the back of your chest. The one where you did the exact same thing, laughed at the wrong moment, in the wrong room, at the wrong person's expense, and felt the full social weight of it crash down on you. You're not watching strangers fail. You're watching proof that you are not alone.
Her brother, who's 19, calls her up and says, I'm dropping out of college to become a musician, and she doesn't react very well, and they hadn't spoken for 6 months, and then he gets hit by a car and is in a coma. 'Aman, in a coma, and the entire studio, people who do this professionally, people who process stories for a living, completely collapses because the gap is too wide. The brain can't bridge it fast enough, and laughter is what fills the gap. There's a scene in almost every great tragedy where someone laughs. Shakespeare knew it. Tarantino knows it. The writers of real life know it too. Because laughter in darkness doesn't mean you don't feel the darkness. It means you're still breathing inside it. The people in every single clip in this video are not bad people. They are not cold people. They are not people who don't care. They are people whose brains in a split second, with zero warning, chose the wrong door. And you have done it too. And so have I. And so has every single person who has ever been in a room where the tension got too heavy and the pressure valve just went.
How long you been faithful?
16 years. Faithful. And the room just goes, because the brain will always find the gap. The brain will always find the worst possible door. And the brain, your brain, my brain, everyone's brain will walk through it at the absolute worst moment. The laugh that shows up uninvited is not a flaw. It's a feature, a broken, chaotic, deeply human feature. And next time it happens to you, in the meeting, at the funeral, in the middle of the most important conversation you've ever had, just know that somewhere right now, someone else is losing the same war, and they're probably being filmed.